So the name Caol Ila actually means the sound of Islay, and it's not referring to a sound you hear, it's referring to sound as in a stretch of water. And it's referring to the stretch of water that runs between Islay and Jura, which is just out the window. It's an important stretch of water because it gives us the absolutely beautiful view from our still house. I don't think there's a better view from any distillery in Scotland.
Embark on a spirited journey through time and tradition, where golden barley transform into liquid gold. Whisky. From the verdant fields to the mastery within aged oak casks, we explore the soulful alchemy of distillation across iconic distilleries. Join us as we unravel the tales and taste of a legacy, meticulously crafted, drop by precious drop. This is Whiskey Stories.
Caol Ila represents Islay and Johnnie Walker as one of the 4 whiskey corners of Scotland. Let's pay them a visit and explore its importance to Johnnie Walker, as well as what it has to offer on its own.
Caol Ila has a very long history.
Yes.
Anyway, it's actually, the facilities we are sitting in right now are actually quite new in terms of Scotch whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been making whiskey at Caol Ila since 1846. And the company, or the distillery, changed hands several times, but it was really in the late 1920s it became part of the predecessors of Diageo. But from that point on, it was a whiskey which was very much focused on as being a really important part of the blending process. So whilst Caol Ila itself is hugely adored and admired as a single malt, it's also really respected and admired by master blenders, and in particular the blenders who create Johnnie Walker. So when you're tasting Johnnie Walker Black Label or Double Black, as we have right here, and you get that smoky flavour, that's coming from Caol Ila. It's an integral part of the blend, and it's what gives Johnnie Walker that smoky backbone that you find from Red Label right through to Blue Label and beyond. But let's dive straight into the first whiskey, which is on the left-hand side. And this is the Caol Ila Distillers Edition. A beautiful sort of viscosity to it. So you can see that just swirling lovely in the glass. Give it a little smell. And you find the smoke is there, but it's not overpowering. It's quite gentle. It's got that sweetness just sort of rounding it off nicely on the edges. So Caol Ila usually, for me certainly, it's got quite a dry smoke, almost a sort of sooty smoke, but and balanced by a little hint of citrus. This just softens all that and rounds it off really nicely. Yeah.
In 1972, distillery was totally demolished and then built again.
Yeah, so there's 2 things happened in the 70s. First of all, we had expanded from 2 to 6 stills. And then just, I think it was a couple of years later, we did indeed demolish the entire distillery and rebuild it. Whiskey was growing rapidly on a global scale, and particularly blended Scotch whiskey. So I mean, a lot of distilleries around that time went from 7 days a week working to 5 days a week, and sort of adapted, and some even 4 days a week, and adapted to accommodate that. But also at Caol Ila, to your point, in the past we have occasionally, maybe for 2 or 3 weeks of the year, made an unpeated style. And essentially everything we do on site is done exactly the same, except we use unpeated barley instead of heavily peated barley. And the whiskey you get as a result is really interesting. It feels, when you taste it, there's a little touch of dryness. It's almost like there's some residual peat has somehow still made its way into that.
It still carries some of the soul from Caol Ila.
I think so, yeah. There's still something in there. So the next one we look at is only available to purchase here at the distillery. And this is a distillery-only bottling, or a distillery-exclusive bottling. So yeah, if you want to pick up the second one, give it a little smell. And think about how that relates to the previous one. The previous one had that sort of layer of sort of unctuous sweetness. This one is much more of a sort of juicy berry sweetness that comes through for me. So that dry smoke's still there, but the level of sweetness is different, if that makes sense.
Completely different
character. Yeah.
What is the most unique part of Caol Ila, or what does it bring to the Scotch whisky industry?
For me, it's the distinct style of smoke that Caol Ila has. I mean, yes, that view is amazing, but the smoke that Caol Ila has, it's kind of unlike any other smoke in any other whiskey. For me, it's reminiscent of a beach bonfire in the distance, those dying embers, that whiff of smoke. So it's quite an elegant smoke. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit sweeter than, say, the smoke at Lagavulin, which is quite rich, quite full-bodied, almost earthy in style. This is a more sort of, not delicate, but more elegant, sophisticated style of smoke, I would say. Caol Ila's a brand that has been out there for quite a long time, but it's not a brand that we push particularly hard. It's not a brand we do advertising for, really. It's not a brand that you see big marketing spend behind, and it seems to have just grown through word of mouth almost. But there's a lot of really passionate fans of Caol Ila now, all over the world. But it's still a little bit of a whiskey that kind of flies below the radar. And there's a few whiskies in our portfolio that are like that are really loved and adored by connoisseurs. When you hear someone ordering a Caol Ila in a bar or someone talking about Caol Ila, you know it's someone that sought it out and discovered it. So it's that kind of joyful sense of discovery that comes with it. So yeah, I quite like it for that reason. One of the great things that we have for visitors here at Caol Ila is if someone comes and wants to fill their own bottle, we do a hand fill. And they get to fill out the label with all the details, fill the bottle, seal it, take it home with them, and it's something to remember by, or a beautiful gift to bring home.
But this is not a distillery exclusive, or?
Yeah, you can only do that here at the distillery.
Okay.
So yeah, so you literally fill the bottle from the cask, label it up, and you can take it home.
So Caol Ila is actually representing Johnnie Walker as one of the four corners of the Scotch whisky.
That's correct, yeah.
Can you put some words on that, as well as the three other corners?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few years ago we made the decision to actually, let's highlight 4 particular key distilleries and conveniently 4 key regional styles that come together to help contribute to Johnnie Walker. So we called out specifically Clynelish in the Highlands, Cardew in Speyside, Glenkinchie in the Lowlands, and Caol Ila on Islay. And they all bring something unique. When you look at Clynelish, it brings a sort of waxy, creamy aroma and almost a sort of honey sweetness. When you then go to Cardew and Speyside, it's all about those orchard fruits, which are prevalent through the Johnnie Walker range. When you then look at Glenkinchie in the Lowlands, it's more of those delicate, floral, fragrant notes. And then of course you come across here to Islay, it's about the smoke. And Caol Ila gives that beautiful, slightly dry, slightly sweet smoke that you find across the Johnnie Walker range. So they all play a key role, and there are many other whiskies used to create Johnnie Walker as well, but these are 4 of the key ones that we like to call out because they really individually stand for really interesting flavour styles.
Which expression from Caol Ila is your favourite? And you can only pick one.
Only one, that's so harsh. It's probably got to be that 25-year-old. I just absolutely adore it. For me, it's got everything I love about Caol Ila, but then it's just, over those extra years, has just developed more and more complexity and more depth. So you can sit with a glass of that, enjoying that wonderful view outside for an hour, and every time you smell it, every time you taste it, you'll discover something new. It just slowly reveals itself to you. And that to me is a sign of a really, really wonderful single malt.
Okay, I need to ask. What is coming up from Caol Ila? What are you preparing? What are you?
I'm not going to tell you. But I mean, certainly when you look at things that we've done in the past with Caol Ila, things like the unpeated expressions, which were so well received. Even the 20-year-old unpeated we did last year at Caol Ila. At this year's Caol Ila, we did a wonderful 13-year-old expression of Caol Ila, finished in ruby port casks. So we're always pushing the boundaries of where we can push that smoke to, be that almost entirely removing it in terms of unpeated, or how we can sweeten it or add fruit notes to it. The smoke, is an important part of who we are, but it's interesting to see where we can push it in different directions. So who knows what's next, but it'll definitely be exciting.
We'll definitely keep an eye out.
Amazing.